Hello again and thanks for joining. So today we've got this Bachmann locomotive to have a look at. It's number 63102 and it represents an S4 switcher locomotive from Southern Pacific and it's numbered 1466. You can see that through the packaging here. This is another one of my famous second-hand purchases and I thought I'd get this one because it looks quite interesting and quite colourful. This box is looking not too bad condition. It's got some shelf wear and some bashes here and there, but overall it's not too bad at all. But let's get this model out and we'll take a look. So first of all, we have these instructions which show how to lubricate and maintain this model and also that it needs a break-in period. This being second hand, it doesn't apply here. And it talks about the lifetime warranty of Bachmann locomotive, which is really nice. And here on the back, you can see an exploded view of the locomotive with all the different variations and all the spare parts. And you can see that this is going to be all-wheel drive by these gearboxes and also it's got some flywheels as well. So it's looking pretty good so far. So this sheet of legal jargon is all about the warranty if you bought this product in the United States or Canada, but I didn't. I bought it here in the UK, so I'm guessing this doesn't apply to me. So the locomotive is held securely in this plastic packaging. So isn't this a really attractive and interesting model? One of the things I really love about this locomotive and strikes you straight away is the chevron paint job, the kind of wasp stripes. It really adds a lot of character and interest to this model. Let's have a closer look. We'll start here at the cab end. It has these really delicate handrails here and they're quite pliable as well, so that's good because they could take a bit of a bash and not get broken. And it also has these handrails here just right at the cab as well. It's got these painted yellow parts down here and of course the knuckle coupling. It all looks really quite nice and detailed. It's even got this bar here which is very fine and moves up and down as well. Steps going up to the cab. Additional little yellow parts picked out here. These aren't separate pieces like the other handrails, but it's really nice that they've been picked out and it's been done very well. You can see at the top here the number and there's a light as well, and it has very clear glazing. There doesn't seem to be any interior on this, it just has a part of the motor it looks like in there, but the glazing is very clear and it's all flush fit all the way around, and you can see at the front of the cab here it's glazed up and over the top as well, and up here it has a horn as well added in. Looking down the side of this locomotive, it's got a wealth of detail. It's got some really nice graphics printed onto it, and like I mentioned already, these chevrons extend all the way down the side of the locomotive and they're very well printed on here, even across these additional parts here. The handrail is very fine as well, and again prone to breaking, however it does have a lot of pliability in it to take a few bashes. An extra part up here is this chimney, and looking along the top here you can see a wealth of rivet detail and hatches and grills as well, very nicely moulded into the main part. And we have an additional part just up here, this extra piece of grill. And then as we reach the other end of the locomotive, there's another set of handrails, again in the same kind of plastic, very nicely printed chevrons here, a number, another light, and more rivet detail to enjoy as well. Looking down below, these bogies are really nicely detailed and they've got a lot of deep relief on them. And finally in the middle here we've got a couple of air tanks, it looks like, or maybe they're fuel tanks, not quite sure. So you can see that both bogies are driven. You've got some indication of the gearbox on each of the bogies here, and they all pick up as well. So this should be a good runner. We'll give it a test in a minute. One of the things I did notice, which is a great attention to detail, is this part here where on this side the handrail curves up the side of the cab here up to here. Whereas on the other side it doesn't, it just terminates here. So that's a real good attention to detail and it's been faithfully reproduced on this model. So I'm very impressed with this Bachmann model. It's looking very good. It's got a lot of detail and a lot of interesting parts to it. And it's also been executed very well from the moulding and the extra parts being put onto it and the printing as well. So let's give this a try and see how it runs. So here it is on the test track. So let's give it some power and see what happens. So what an absolutely fantastic runner this is. It's so smooth and it's really quiet. It does get a little bit of noise as it gets a bit faster, especially in one direction rather than the other. I'm not quite sure why that's happening, but overall it's really great. It crawls along at a really nice speed, which is essential for a switcher locomotive. Anyway, let's see how much this weighs. So this locomotive weighs 236 grams. So this Southern Pacific Switcher S4 locomotive has turned out to be a real gem of a locomotive. It runs absolutely brilliantly, it's got such great slow speed, and it just crawls along really nicely. Even on that ropey track that I had and my old H&M controller, it had no problems whatsoever. There's lots of things to like about this locomotive, and undoubtedly the star of the show is this paint job. It's been applied so well and so accurately, everything's very crisp and clear, and it's really characterful with its stripes going all the way along the side of the locomotive and at both ends. The fine detail of the railings is quite incredible, and there's additional white paint on these as well, and it just results in a really good looking locomotive and has all the looks of a really expensive locomotive, even though this wasn't actually that expensive. There's only one downside, I think, which is that it doesn't have an interior in this locomotive, but it is quite a small locomotive and it does have flywheels on the motor, so it's possibly a restriction on the amount of size that's available, but this could probably benefit from just a small hint of an interior, or even just a driver, just to add a bit of interest into the cab area. But really that's a small niggle compared to what you get here. It's a fantastic locomotive with some additional parts added on, which really make it stand out as quite an incredibly good looking and also well performing model. So if you're modelling American HO scale railroads, this is definitely something to look out for. I know this comes in different liveries, not just Southern Pacific, so if the Southern Pacific is not your choice, then there's others available. But either way, this is definitely a model that I would say you could add to your layout and you'd be absolutely delighted with it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my analysis of this model, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel, so thanks very much, and you can subscribe to enjoy more videos like this. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around, but that's it for today. See ya!